Live from Las Vegas, it's the Billy Goodman Thing with Gloria Euphoria. News on Elvis Presley and Elvis Presley Jr., your UFO connection and Scramble Stars, Baby Boom trivia, special guests, and much, much more. And now, here's Billy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good morning, anybody. Yeah, welcome into your Billy Goodman Thing for the next couple of hours. Who knows where we'll go? One thing for sure, we will be checking out the UFOs and Elvis Presley and Elvis Presley Jr. Any news on them? Some of the mail that came in, and who knows what else. Most importantly, you're going to be there. You're going to be the most important part of the show, as you're going to be calling in.
Hey, Bob, I don't know if you heard this. You know the area up there that was called Rachel's Bar and Grill?
Yeah.
They changed their name.
To the alien. Yeah, I heard that.
The Little Alien. And I was talking to Pat Travis. They're going to have my picture up there and my T-shirt. They want a picture of you up there. Would you give them a picture of you?
Sure.
All right, I got to tell Pat that. They want a picture of you so they can put it and display it on the wall. They've also expanded. She told me that people are coming from all over the world just to check out the old Rachel's Bar and Grill, now the Little Alien.
Yeah, that's a neat little place. I like it.
Have you been in there?
Yeah, I went in there once, but it's a real friendly place. It's a neat place to visit.
It sure is. And tonight, there's a big party going on up there, so I want to say hello, and Bob, say hello to everybody up there at the Little Alien. Pat Travis is celebrating, I think it's her 17th birthday. Of course, it's a little more than that, but I mean, I make her feel good. Bob, let me ask you the question, and so people may be tuning in for the first time. How about describing how they bend gravity?
How can I describe that without using my hands?
No, you did it beautifully. You said something about how you could get a blanket and sort of fold it up and then have a heavy object and just goes right to the next place if you wanted to, right?
Yeah, that's not a real true representation because there again you're thinking on a two-dimensional scale.
Oh, okay.
I guess if you laid.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess if you laid a blanket on the ground,
right,
and your spacecraft was on any portion of it, the blanket representing space, instead of the craft moving across the top of the blanket, what would happen is the craft would stay put in one place. The craft would focus its gravitational beam on the desired destination on that part of the blanket.
Right.
And what it would do is actually pull that destination, like folding that part of the blanket over to the craft. The craft attaches itself to that point, and it snaps back and follows the warp all the way back to where the blanket is normally.
Right. Okay. Let's hold on a second here. There's a caller that wants. Are you willing to go like nationwide on television with all this?
Oh, I did already.
Well, I know, but I mean more extensively.
I've about at it.
Pardon me?
I've about at it. I've been in this for like, I think coming up on a year or something like that.
Well, what I'm talking about is major, probably superstations and some other contacts that I have to get you on, to get more exposure on this, so maybe there'll be some more public interest so we can find out what the hell is going on.
Here's my question. When you went to 1983, and then you went back, well, before you went back, had the ship been gone for 4 hours? In other words, did you change history when you went back and smashed the equipment? The ship was gone approximately 4 hours, yes. Now, what was the rest of that question? I couldn't hear you. From 1983, you went back to 1942. 43. What's that? We went back to 43, the same point in time where we had left. Okay. Now, in 1983, before you went back, had the ship been gone for only 4 hours, or had it been gone permanently? In other words, in history, did you change history? That's a good question. The ship was only gone a total of about 4 hours. It did not come in to the time period or time frame of 1983, but was in hyperspace, which means, in essence, so far as our reality is concerned, it was nowheres. I mean, this is a mathematical concept, and actually it exists as a reality if you want to call it that. But it's not our reality. It is not the physical domain as we know it. And it was in that, you might say that, no man's land land of the Limberlost, whatever you want to call it. And when it did return to a normal space-time position, which was where it took off from, plus about 4 hours. I say about. I'm not absolutely certain at this point what the time frame was. Nobody really knew at that point. And I'm sure it's recorded in the Navy record someplace, but it was close to 4 hours. It may not have been exactly that. Okay, but the question still remains. Well, put it this way. Before you arrived in 1983, did they have knowledge of the ship having disappeared completely, or was it still, as far as they was concerned, was it only gone for 4 hours? You're talking about the view of the ship from the 1943 end or the 83 end? From the 83 end. In 83, they knew exactly what had happened because they had the records and the final reports. And literally, Van Neumann was waiting for us. And when we arrived there, we were escorted downstairs, if you will, down into the lower levels of the operation by the security people, and we were introduced to Dr. Van Neumann, who we didn't know who he was at first. We didn't believe it at first, but he finally convinced us, and this was the beginning of a total rude awakening to us as to what had happened. No, they did know at the 83 end what had happened, and this was the old problem of the time loop, completing the loop. That is a very complex business if you do not understand the aspects of time as to what it really means.
How's that, Bob?
Okay, well, what if you hadn't gone back? Do you think that that the history would have been different?
If we had not gone back?
Right.
Yes, things would have been different, all right. There's no question. The ship would have kept feeding the hyperspace bubble, and there's no telling what would have happened. Van Neumann was concerned that it might have destroyed a large part of Long Island, or worse.
Ooh, well. All right, Bob in L.A., we thank you very much for participating. For all intents and purposes, then, Al, what you're telling us is this technology was available to us since the early 40s.
Yes.
And so they could have made anything disappear. Anything they wanted to.
Just about. After they solved all the problems, which actually did not occur till 53.
Okay, but I mean, they could make anything disappear. They could do anything they wanted to do to destroy anything they wanted to do, right?
In a certain manner of speaking.
Yes, that's for sure. Okay, Al Bielek is my guest. I was playing my tape back, during the news a little bit. And if you do me a favor and speak a little more directly in the phone, I'd appreciate it, because it's a little faint.
How's that?
That's great. We want to make sure they get your message, because it's so important. And now, Yellow Fruit is on the line. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, let's tell you about Yellow Fruit. Yellow Fruit is up at Groom Lake. He's part of the organization up there that... Well, let him tell you exactly what he is. Maybe he'll give us a little background. And we'll go to this line. Okay, Yellow Fruit.
Hello?
Yes, sir, Yellow Fruit. Would you mind telling the audience exactly what your position is up at Groom Lake so we can clear that up?
Roving security, passive security, background investigations, recovery. I've been lerping over in Deep Springs for the last few days. Lerping is long-range patrol. I wanted to speak to Charles Ellery. I'm the one who tried calling you the other day, and Terry repeated my name. He said Yellow Fruit, and then apparently he wrote down Lemon Drop.
That's a good one.
So if you're wondering why Lemon Drop did not leave a phone number, now you know.
There you go. Okay.
And to Jean Irene, she's asking what is she supposed to look for over in Deep Springs. Deep Springs is an EBE wildlife release point. The EBEs have been trying to introduce some of their wildlife into the Deep Springs area to see if they can survive on Earth and study them, which is part of what I'm doing, is trying to catch some of this wildlife so that we can examine them genetically and see how compatible they are with Earth wildlife.
Ah.
Also, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, the Soviets were allowed to install, against the wishes of the U.S. government and without the involvement of the U.S. government, the Soviets were allowed to install a device 300 feet below the surface of Deep Springs. So this is part of what's going on, part of what you might be looking for.
That's another trip. That's another trip down the line. Deep Springs might be our next trip, our next little sojourn. Okay, Bill Cooper and Yellow Fruit, these are probably the two most important people dealing with this topic that we have been dealing with now for the past month and a half or so. And I think it's only fitting that you're both there together. Bill, do you have any questions for Yellow Fruit? And vice versa, Yellow Fruit, do you have any questions for Bill Cooper?
I only have one, really, Billy. Yellow Fruit, I've been looking forward to having a little chat with you. The first question that I have is I would like to know what has the reaction been to the information that I've been putting out. And I know that things change over the years. You have to understand that I saw this information between 70 and 73, and I've done quite extensive research, which has led me to other information. But I'd like to know what the reaction is and what, if anything, has changed.
Okay, I can barely hear his question, but I understood most of it.
Yeah, you got to speak up a little bit more, Billy, next time. But I think the gist of it is what is the reaction, or what has been the reaction to the, how would you word it, the story you've been releasing, Bill?
Yeah, what has been the reaction to the information that I put out that I saw between 70 and 73 over 17 years ago?
Right, there's the question.
And also, what, if anything, has changed? I know it's been a lot of years since then. Maybe something has changed. If it has, I'd like to know about it.
But you understand?
Well, he's doing a fairly good job. He's being extremely accurate for someone who's not on the other side of the fence. The tunnels that he spoke about are not nearly as long as he was led to believe by whatever source he has. There's 4 tunnels: G tunnel, T tunnel, P tunnel, and N tunnel. But they connect Groom Lake with Yucca Lake and Tonopah. That's all they do. They don't really go outside of Nevada or outside of the general testing area. Other than that, most of his information is pretty accurate. On many subjects, he knows more than I do, because I don't know that much about the history of a lot of these incidents and a lot of these things outside of Nevada. And a lot of things we just are not allowed to discuss even amongst ourselves. So in many cases, he might know more than we do, more than I do.
Right. How's that, Bill?
That's good. But what has been the response of the organization to the information?
Oh, pretty good. A lot of people are just so busy, it's hard for them to comment on it. It's fairly friendly, if not hostile.
Well, that's good, because my sources have indicated to me that there is a large element of the inside that really wants to get it out. It's just they don't know how to go about it, and they don't want the public reaction to be bad. That's the information that I get, and I guess you've sort of confirmed it in a way.
Yes, that's accurate. The greatest thing holding back MJ-12 is the fear of how the public will react to the absolute and total truth. You know, as I said earlier, Jonestown was a result of an open policy, and so they really have a phobia about causing such a reaction again.
Well, let me ask you, Yellow Fruit, if that's what happened at Jonestown, and I have no information about that whatsoever, but if that's what happened at Jonestown, why doesn't it happen in places like Gulf Breeze or in the Hudson Valley, where over 9,000 people have seen these craft, and in places where there's been close contact of CE-3s and CE-4s?
Well, I don't know. That's what really caught MJ-12 completely off guard. They weren't prepared for it. There's no scientific or psychological explanation for it. I guess it's the difference between seeing someone walking toward you and knowing that they're coming, and having your back to them and suddenly they speak to you and you're startled by them. And I guess the people at Jonestown just got startled and were not psychologically prepared for it. And that it just tipped the scale.